Yeah, we're recording. All right, at 7 o'clock, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. First order of business is to organize, which means we need to establish a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. We have a minute taker for the town, Sue, who just gathers our minutes for the meeting from Zoom. She'll type them up, so whoever is the secretary of the board won't need to do minutes. They'll make that a little bit easier. So I think we can start with just taking a nomination for board chair, and then they will take over. I'll nominate Preston.
Oh, I'll second that.
Will you do it? Will you do it?
Well, you did ask me in advance if I would consider it. I mean, because I'm a staff member, it's a little bit weird, but I think at least for the first year or something, yeah, absolutely. I would.
Is everybody fine with a staff member being board chair? Because it doesn't have to be.
I've chaired many meetings and I know how to chair a meeting, and personally, I believe the chair doesn't, put their will on everyone else. Tries to stay as neutral as possible. So sure.
Does anybody else have a desire for chair? Because it does not have to be a staff person.
I think it's a fine idea.
Okay.
It is pretty hard for a group like this to just suddenly, as a citizen, be chair.
Yeah.
And so we get that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right, you want to
Well,
take over for
thank
next
you
year?
very much for your vote of confidence here. I will say as a comment that I had my second total knee replacement 2.5 weeks ago, and this is my first trip to Chester since the surgery, but I'm actually doing pretty well. No serious pain issues here. So the second item, I guess, is a vice chair.
Yep.
So do you have
I'd like to nominate Carl for vice chair. If that's something we'd want to do.
Sure.
I'll second that.
Oh, my pen just died.
Here, let me get it.
Yeah, it would be fine if you would do that. Getting up out of a chair is like a little bit of work for me now. So anyway,
All right, so Damon was the motion.
Yeah.
Who seconded? All right,
so that would be Carl Henshaw as vice chair. Okay. Any other nominations? If not, then those in favor of Carl being our vice chair, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And you accept it? Good.
Yes.
Excellent. That's great. And then we want the secretary, right?
we should have a secretary to the board just in case there's an issue.
Because someone else takes the minutes, it's basically the secretary receives anything important that we need to receive. That's kind of what it is, I think. So do we have any nominations for secretary?
Does anyone want to do secretary?
There's not much you have to do.
Do we
It
need
really-
a secretary?
Well, that's
Legally.
You have staff people on the board, so we probably don't.
yeah, I was,
David, do you want to try?
No, let's do this. I nominate Bob.
Bob, do you want to be the secretary?
I'll do it.
I'll second that.
okay.
Done.
Not much you'll have to do.
It's
That's fine.
certain times of boards need legal notifications to a secretary. I just don't think we're going to need it. But in any case, the motion's been made that Bob be the secretary. He has, ecstatically said he would like to do it.
Came for this purpose.
So those in favor of Bob as the secretary, please say aye.
Aye.
Sounds like it's unanimous. All right.
Under organization, do you want to set the standard meeting night?
Very good suggestion. We can meet anytime that we decide we have to, but we like to put on the website that there is a standard meeting night. This happens to be a Thursday. I don't know if that works for everyone or,
I can tell you the availability of this room.
Yeah.
Might help guide us a little bit. The first and fourth Tuesdays are available the second and fourth Wednesdays, or Thursdays, or Fridays. Those are the nights this room is available.
I will say that with Anne, she has the food shelf open on Thursdays, so I'm having to get my in-laws to watch my kids. So if I could do anything other than Thursday, I'd be.
Yeah, Mondays are fully booked.
Mondays are fully booked.
Tuesdays?
Tuesdays, the first Tuesday and the fourth Tuesday are available. The first Tuesday of every month or the fourth Tuesday.
Tuesday's a no-go for me. First Tuesday.
First one I could do, I prefer Wednesday, just to.
Wednesdays, we could do the second and fourth Wednesdays. This room is available.
I have something on the second Wednesday of each month.
Okay,
So
but the fourth Wednesday.
I could do the fourth Wednesday.
Fourth Wednesday, so the fourth Wednesdays of every month,
Okay,
6 o'clock. Are the Wednesdays okay with you, Preston?
yes.
So the fourth Wednesday of every month.
Do we
Take
need
it
to
away.
vote on that or not? Okay. I don't think we need to vote. I think we've agreed by consensus. Anything else under organization that you think we
Why
should?
don't one of us give an explanation of open meeting law so that that can be understood?
Train's coming through late. Anyway,
Would you like to do that or? would
no,
you-
I'd rather you do it. Even though I feel pretty versed in it, but I think I'd rather have you do it.
So for those who have not been on a government board, all municipal committees, subcommittees of a select board are required to follow open meeting law. So this is what is very different with government work. All of our action has to be taking place in the public. It's not necessarily for the public, but it is in the public. So email communication is typically where people get hung up. So any email communication that involves a majority of the board, there has to be a record of that. So typically what we have always done to err on the side of caution is if there is stuff to be distributed to the board, we typically do it from a staff member at town hall. That way we have a system in place of where we keep records of everything. It just keeps it cleaner if we get public records requests, which are a big thing right now in the world, especially well, I don't know if especially in Vermont, definitely, but probably throughout the world. Public records requests are big. We deal with several of them a week. And we have to be able to produce any communication between the two of you within a certain amount of time, 3 days. So we are allowed to communicate by a majority of the board via email for the purposes of establishing a meeting date. That is allowed. But any other communication, the rule of thumb is just avoid it if it's a majority. That does not mean that a couple of you cannot get together and work on projects as long as it is not a majority of the board. Okay. I think that's, if you just think about everything has to be done so that the public has access to it, that, I'm sure everybody knows this, be careful what you put in an email, right? Like, because public records requests are really becoming a big thing. And a few people have gotten caught, a few board members and on other boards have gotten a little bit caught with some things that they said, not remembering that it could be subject to. So another point to that is, do members of this board want a chestervt.gov email address? Or do you want to continue using your personal emails?
I personally would rather use my existing.
Your personal one? Okay.
Me too.
Okay.
6 emails already.
Okay. Okay. It's up to everybody. I can get a chestervt.gov email.
A couple questions, like some of the work that we've been thinking about doing, and since it needs to be public facing, is there a Chester VT like SharePoint site? So it's like it's available to the public, but like working documents that we could move in and out of, like that other people could view or read, but not necessarily edit, that we could structure?
I
So
mean,
it
we
still
have
applies, or-
SharePoint.
Okay.
use it. We don't really use it internally, but we do have it.
Would that
Um,
still be in compliance with that transparency kind of law that they want to?
It would, but we shouldn't, as a majority, you should not be editing documents without the group, unless you're a subgroup. So if this group says, hey, Carl and Damon, go work on the AI thing that you're dealing with, you're a subgroup. You don't need to be in the public.
Okay,
What you report back to the group needs to be in the public.
okay.
You're less than a majority. So that is the way around a little bit of that, Carl,
Okay.
is you have subgroups of just 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, and so the things that I generated, I should have just emailed them directly to Julie, and then Julie could have distributed them,
Yeah.
or Preston.
Yeah.
Who's staff? Just
Yeah.
Preston and Julie?
Preston and I, yeah.
So
Just
that would
keep
have,
it there.
that would have been better. Okay. I didn't know that.
It's fine. You've never, it's distinct and unique to municipalities. So unless you've worked on a municipal board, you would have no idea that that exists. And it's also the explanation of why government moves very slow.
So for the purpose of this group, is a subgroup anything less than 3?
Less than 4 because we're a board of 7.
Okay,
So 4 is a majority. So 3 or less.
okay.
Yeah, and I think you know me enough to know I have no problem with everything being public. I just don't want it, I don't want to create an additional burden to you, so.
Yeah.
Just,
The reason, and it's overkill for this committee, in my opinion, but the reason to consider having a chester.vt.gov address is if, again, I don't think it's gonna happen in this group, but if something bad happened and there were subpoenas, they could subpoena all your email records.
yeah,
Right.
I'm actually considering having the separate email.
Yeah. We like to offer it.
Okay.
Again, to your point, I mean, if it was the select board, I would say you should have a separate one. They all have separate ones. But think of that's personal to everybody.
I'll say yes to it now, just because there's other.
And I'll do the same.
If you have your business, your private business.
Yeah, I don't want to have
Your
that
work
open,
and,
yeah,
yeah.
even though I
Just
see it all the time.
Just don't want to be subject to it.
Okay.
So what the email will be is.
There you go.
Yeah.
Chester.vt.gov.
After that little tidbit, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good to know.
It's a good point, Bobby.
Well, so I'm on several state boards, so I have an at Vermont.gov address, for example, or a state college board, I have BTSU EDU.
Right. Right.
Just because I don't want that intermingling. with,
No.
as well.
No.
On this, I don't care.
Do you want us to use the Bob Flint? The Springfield Development?
SRDC one.
Yeah, which isn't technically personal, it's, yeah.
But even
so-
so, I'm not
Even so,
super
yeah,
worried about
yeah.
it.
Okay, so,
It is surprisingly easy in Vermont for people to make public information requests.
It
It's
is.
just, they
there's
almost,
legislation that is being proposed to limit a little bit of that.
all they have to do is just basically ask and it's, you gotta do it.
You're gonna still stick with yours, and then we have Chapman.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'll get those for you guys.
So anyway, we don't want to squelch creativity, but, and then the other thing is that as time goes on, I mean, we have Kathy observing, but we may have other people and they're going to want to say, gee, you're talking about a document. I haven't seen it. Where is it? So we'll have a package that before meetings, or at least that's what we typically do with other groups.
Yeah.
That somebody who wants to zoom in can download the package.
Exactly. And it gives you guys time. So if there are things that are coming for the next agenda, which you will decide as one of your last agenda items, what do we want to talk about the next meeting? A packet will prepare usually we try to do it at least 3 to 4 days ahead of time. I'm always not so great about it on the Housing Commission, but trying to get it to you ahead of time. So if there are things that you want to get into the packet, just email us before that packet typically goes out. And it just keeps it smooth and clean.
Do you anticipate, since I'm chair, that I'll be doing the packet?
We'll work on it
We'll
together.
work. Okay, good.
How's that?
Yep.
Like we do the Housing Commission. When I pop into your office and say, oh my God, I forgot to do the Housing Commission.
I actually know that I'm happy
Yeah.
either way.
We can-
If you want to stay that involved, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Fine to not.
All right, anything more we need to talk about for organization?
I have a, change I'd like to make in the bylaws.
Okay.
In the mission, it says, promoted from local economy of ethnic sizes, tourism, agriculture, forestry, business, and specified future services, compatible light industry, and manufacturing. I think paramount to all of that is, increasing the grand list of taxable property. So I guess the exercises, increases in the grand, in the, whatever you call the grand list. Second thing, and then the following things for the agriculture and forestry, et cetera.
So that would be a select board making that change.
I was thinking that they're the ones that did it.
Select board
Yeah.
adopted bylaw. Yep, so the select board would need to modify. I mean, that's not a big deal.
Okay,
Certainly, if the,
So
if the
increasing
rest of the
the,
committee. is
Grand
against that.
list.
is that what it's called?
It-
Grand
that
list.
is its legal
Grand
title. I know,
Grand
believe it or not.
Okay.
How did you wordsmith it? Increasing the grand list for the town of
The
Chester?
grand list, yeah.
Just increasing the grand.
Yeah, I can play with the words to make
Yeah.
And
it
increasing the
get it
grand.
added.
Okay, okay.
If the group as a whole agrees to want to do that.
I guess again, we won't necessarily vote, we'll go by consensus, but is everyone all right with that? I mean, the grand list is the assessor's list, if you will. It's just in Vermont, that's what they call it. And it's in statute and it's the cumulative value of all properties in town.
It is what we base our taxes on.
Hire the grand list.
So you're saying the goal of this committee, one of the goals is to increase the taxable land within the community?
The taxable value, I mean, the land is the land, but it's essentially less constructed on the land. I mean, the mill rate is comprised of two factors. One is the grand list, and the other is spending.
Yeah.
Assuming spending stays the same, grand list goes up, mill rate goes down.
Yeah, I would not be interested in increasing the scope of this committee into that, but that's
So
fine.
I think that's a necessary function of this committee. If it's not to increase the grand list, what is it?
There's a variety of things that, I mean, we wordsmith this to include other things like a sustainable economy and demographics and stuff. I wonder if there's a way of maybe tacking it on the end. So it's inclusive, but not the goal. It is a goal along with the other things.
If I cut through that, what I heard him say, please help me understand if I'm not understanding what Phil's saying, is the purpose of this committee is to increase the tax revenue for Chester.
You say that.
Yeah.
But are you saying it is the goal or it is a goal?
A goal.
Right.
Oh, a goal.
Right. So perhaps at the end of that, you could have, I had it in my hand a second ago. Business to provide goods and services compatible with light industry and manufacturing with consideration of increasing the town's grand list. I'm just trying to,
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, is something like emphasizing and focusing on tourism and growing businesses and all those things is inherently going to have an impact to the grand list. By doing that work, you inherently will, if you grow business, you kind of are growing your grand list. It will have an impact on that. So to your point,
Not so sure, Julie, but okay. I mean, if,
you don't think that bringing light industry or
No, but I-
manufacturing to town will.
but I don't think that, for example, reopening, Free Range as a restaurant
Sure.
is going to have a measurable.
I'm thinking about the growing and bringing business like light industry,
Bringing,
manufacturing.
well,
You're bringing those
my-
facilities to
Yeah,
town.
in my view, increasing the grand list is shorthand
Mhm.
for bringing new businesses
Mhm.
into town.
Correct.
Okay,
Agree.
okay.
Agree.
So I would rather have a stated goal of
Bring
bringing
new
new
businesses
businesses
into
into
town.
town.
Okay,
Because there's other, you could shortcut the increase the grant list by increasing taxes, by just raising taxes.
no, raising taxes has no effect on grand list. That impacts on the mill rate.
building housing increases the grant.
Right.
For example.
And as your grand list, the theory, Damon, is that as your grand list grows, your municipal budget stays the same, but as your grand list grows, your actually tax rate comes down. I just don't know if
The
you
mill
like.
rate is a simple fraction of the budget over grant list.
Mhm.
So as the grant list goes up, the mill rate goes down.
And it's not so
Assuming-
much about being businesses.
Assuming
per
tax,
se,
assuming
but,
spending stays the same.
Construction.
Like you just said, making a free range restaurant again isn't gonna change the valuation of that property.
I mean, it might,
Building
be-
it, yeah, but
I mean, it might be
people
going
that
from commercial to
Right.
put
residential.
value to it for other reasons.
Yes.
If we bring more like tourists into town, I'm not up to speed, but would that increase if we had more sales tax, does that help Chester? If we have more business being driven through town?
If we had a local options tax, it would directly impact the taxpayers, but it helps Chester in that obviously you have more viable,
Yeah,
healthy
because
businesses that are all
the
doing
local
well.
option tax, as I understand it, Julie, is earmarked.
If you had a local options tax for retail sales,
Yeah,
right, or rooms and mills or any of those, which we do
But-
not yet.
yes, but the proposals that I'm seeing are.
That proposal is for the housing commission. He's just in general,
Okay.
asking if tourism has an impact.
Well, but-
Unless you had local options taxes. I would propose, since this is really under organization, that perhaps what we do is add this discussion as an agenda item at our next meeting. Everybody can give thought to the language for the bylaw, and if we want to modify that, technically this is not an agenda item. I'm not sure that it's really organization. I don't know how you feel about that, new chair, but because this is a discussion that bears some thought about wording if we're going to add things like growing the grand list or potentially bringing new business to town. Like, let's think about that and let's add that to the next agenda. Does that make sense for everybody?
Sure.
And then we can really give appropriate thought to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was feeling that this was
Good.
editing by committee
It's all
is
good.
hard, and I was feeling that we were probably doing that. So yes, that will be on our next agenda, and Julie and I will also look at some samples of what some other, because actually many communities have economic
Yeah.
development commissions, so we can also
See if there's something that maybe meets what everybody's saying, and then we can elaborate and discuss on that too. Or if the other people find models from other towns that are something that maybe has the wording you like,
yeah, and that's another thing, is that
Yeah.
a couple of you were very active in searching things out yourself, and
Really
please
exciting.
Please do, that's great. The next item on the agenda is one of those standard ones the state requires that we have, which is citizen comments. At every meeting, any citizen who participates has the right to ask a question. And Kathy's our only citizen here, so
Go for it.
go for it. All right. Select board sometimes gets quite active on citizen comments.
Sometimes that's our longest section.
The next item is discuss next steps and first efforts. And I did decide to make a copy of a housing snapshot, which the Regional Planning Commission has on their website for Chester. And I made copies to hand around. And so I guess I'll hand it around, but I don't think we necessarily have to talk about it. I do have to say, from my perspective, if you didn't know Chester, if you were just somebody from somewhere else who read this, you would say, that town's dying. And it isn't dying, but it is, this whole idea that our population went down a little bit, our housing stock's getting older, our average income is, under the county average. It's a little bit of a kind of a depressing picture, and that's why we have a housing commission working on all of this. But so you can take it home and read it. You don't necessarily have to read it right now.
So some of the things that Preston and I have been talking about, first of all, I have to say, thank you all for being willing to do this. I have been wanting, Bob knows, I have been wanting to have a true economic development committee for a lot of years. Of a group that is just targets this. This is not economic development is not my wheelhouse. It is not a strength of mine. It's something I actually don't know a whole lot about. Bob can attest to that as well. But Chester isn't a place where, we're just at a place where we need it. We're one of those kind of large, small towns. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot more going on here than what a lot of people realize and what a lot of towns our size have going on. For a town of 3,000 people to have all the services that we have, we do a lot of a lot of grants, a lot of bonding, a lot of projects. There's a lot going on here. And this economic development, and looking at focusing on the businesses of our town and growing those businesses, and taking what we do have to offer and marketing that to the world, and is something that we talk about in select board meetings every now and then, and it just never really gets done. Because you need a group of people that are focused and skilled to be able to do that, unless you want to go pay a whole lot of money and have, a professional do it for you. So I'm really excited about this. And a couple of the things that Preston and I had talked about, I don't know how the group as a whole feels about it. I feel like Chester doesn't have at least I don't have a really good understanding of actually what do we have. I don't really know. I mean, I know Bob's got lists from SRDC. I know Chamber has lists. I don't know if they're all inclusive and exhaustive.
So I should probably explain who the heck I am. and
Yes,
what
why
we
don't
do
you?
At some point,
Yes,
but
why
let
don't
me
you?
answer your question
Yes.
first. So, and save you time.
Yeah.
So we are coincidentally creating a master business list for our region.
Oh, great. Okay.
So that's in process, and we're happy to share that. And
Okay.
that's just the Chester.
Okay, good.
So,
What does your region cover?
I'm getting to that. So we cover the same region as the Mount Escutney Regional Commission. So we are the Regional Development Corporation, or RDC, for this part of Vermont. So the state has a Department of Economic Development, which is within the Agency of Commerce and Community Development. The Department of Economic Development contracts with 12 organizations that cover specific geographic regions of the state to basically be their boots on the ground. So we, as part of that, we get a chunk of funding for that. We're not the state. But we work with everybody, whether it's somebody looking to start a business or the largest employers in town. What does that mean? Depends, right? It usually means money, or helping people develop a business plan. So we have tentacles to somebody who does government contracting, called Apex Accelerator. We tie to the Small Business Development Center, which provides free and confidential counseling. We are SCORE, which is Society of Senior Retired Executives, for free business counseling. So, and sometimes it's just therapy. We'll talk to people, right? So help can mean building stuff. It can mean workforce development. So we've been involved with the Federal Reserve of Boston the last few years on something called the Working Communities Challenge. So that also involves training, but it also means we're the boots on the ground for the state in terms of being the liaison to products and services, incentives, and resources to help businesses. So we try to keep tabs on particularly the value-added businesses in the region. So the region, Damon Deere comment, is basically north to Windsor, south to Springfield, west to Ludlow. 10 towns. Yeah, so sorry. So Chester, Springfield, Ludlow, Windsor, Cavendish, and what am I missing? Andover, Reading,
But not,
West Windsor.
but not up to Woodstock,
Negative. Correct.
nor down to Bellows Falls.
Correct. So we also get funding from businesses that are members. We get funding from several towns. Thank you, Julie, for being kind of their de facto staff. We have splashier projects in other towns. So in Springfield, we own some of the old machine tool plants that could be yours, make an offer. We're doing the Park Street School redevelopment for the Black River Innovation Campus. So I'm currently spending $7 million on that right now. In Windsor, actually, we don't own anything in Windsor anymore. We did own, if you go to Harpoon, that park. We built the Blake Hill Preserves building, and we built the building. It's now a dispensary, but was a cheese company. We, in that case, are a straw man. Because of who we are, we're able to get funding through the Vermont Economic Development Authority. So it's my job to know the alphabet soup of stuff and what connects to what situation. We have money ourselves too. So we provided loans this past year to Mediterranean and to Miguel at the, at the Old Heritage. And we also shepherded Miguel to a funding request to the town of Chester through their revolving loan fund. So, is that helpful?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sorry for
super.
babbling.
So you guys are working on an exhaustive
Correct.
list. Perfect.
Coincidentally,
Perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, because
And-
I've always felt like I don't even.
And I'm on the Clean Water Board, I'm a State College Board member, what else am I on? The Aviation Advisory Council. So,
So what's your organizational structure? It's kind of is it 501c3
we're
or
C6.
501c6?
Yeah, so we're like a chamber, so we're nonprofit, but we're not a charity.
Yeah. Are you state chartered or
So RDC's exist in statute.
yeah?
SRDC does not exist in
Oh,
statute,
okay, all right,
but just like RPC's exist in statute.
yeah,
So we have certain abilities and powers.
Okay.
and stuff.
great. Yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're very active politically.
So with this organization, fledglings, just starting, what are you most excited about and what are you?
I'm here to be of service.
Okay, cool.
And chime in where appropriate. And you folks tell me what you need.
Excellent.
And Bob is really also our connection to what is going on in the state, economic development wise. You know, so we can more easily make those connections. Yeah. And the other thing, since that is getting done, that's very exciting, is I also have never really felt like I had a solid understanding from our local businesses how they're doing. I hear things through the grapevine. I hear rumors here and there. You never really know if they're true. But I don't ever really hear from businesses directly, like this is my struggle, or geez, this was my experience, or I had to go before the DRB and this is what happened. Like, I don't ever hear those things. Huh?
I have.
There you go. So, I didn't know if there was a way or if there was an interest of this board to maybe take some time. It would take quite a bit of time to hear from different types of businesses. You know, maybe classify them into the restaurant owners, you know, so we can kind of target those discussions a little bit, but really hear from them and just give them a space to say, please talk to us about
What can we do for
what can
you?
we do? What are you experiencing? How can the town help? What, you know?
So I've started those discussions just with folks that I know,
Mhm.
and I would be very interested with help to talk to them to kind of figure out the right questions to ask.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
do a survey and,
Yeah.
and get, you know, I want to talk to as many as I can face to face. Because people tend to be honest face
Yes,
to face.
absolutely.
And,
one-on-ones. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
yeah, so,
And one of the frustrating things about the open meeting law is we try not to talk about people's businesses at a meeting like this.
Right.
Yeah,
Because it's a public record and someone can say, hey, you were talking about me and I wasn't even there.
yeah.
So we
absolutely.
just have to be a little careful about that, but you can talk to them one-on-one
Yeah.
and then you can either invite them here or report something that they said it's okay, you can report. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, absolutely. So I do think a survey of some sort would help with that. And
Mhm.
just getting from them what questions to ask
Mhm.
would be good, I
Mhm.
think. But
Yeah.
honestly, yes.
But I completely agree. It's very easy to, well, again, I'll try not to mention any names, but to wonder about certain businesses that you're aware are struggling and you're like, what are they thinking? Or
right.
certain businesses that have been here a long time and say,
And
what is it you like
and
about
feel
here?
free
and
to
what is it you
ping
don't?
me Just to say, hey, you may want to check on so-and-so.
Yeah.
I'd also think it might make sense to go and see who's left recently.
Yeah.
Why, you know, kind of
Yes.
like an exit survey.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
Yeah, some might be just
Yeah.
retired, aged out.
But if
moved.
there's an issue, it would be nice to know. We want to
Right.
confront
Yeah.
those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Brian. I did a free marketing seminar for small businesses in town and I only gave a week notice and 5 people showed up, which was great. And definitely got an earful about things.
Okay.
You know, some not just gripes, but
Right.
you know. So I plan on keep doing that
Yeah.
for the town as long as there's interest.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way for me personally to connect with people because they're talking about marketing, so it's not so direct, and I can get some info about what they need that way.
So your summary of those sessions would be very interesting to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at that time, it was months ago that I did that, but now going forward, I'll, provide a summary.
What would be the typical business that attended your seminar?
Um,
Without asking the names or.
Sure. The areas were anything from like jewelry to doing household goods to specialty products,
Mhm.
say very generally,
Mm-hmm.
to stores, retail. So all those areas. Yeah.
And then, I mean, at some point, and we've talked about this over the past several years, sometime it would be interesting to do a gap survey. Or have a gap study done to see what businesses does Chester want or need. And it's probably down the road, but, a gap inventory, that's what it's. And kind of see what are we missing, that would be great here. And, learning to make some of those connections, I think it starts with like, what do we have and what do we need to market and then how do we market?
Was that included in a survey that might have been done pre-COVID?
A gap inventory?
Not
Oh.
specifically a gap inventory, but what would you like to see in Chester?
Did the planning commission do that at one point?
I don't,
There was
we did a survey, but I guess I wasn't thinking about it.
I have a specific recollection of writing down a Italian restaurant.
There was, Tim Roper did do something
Yeah.
years ago, and that may have been part of the planning commission, something the planning commission did, yeah. it could
Is
be.
that work product available?
Yeah, I
I
can,
mean, there might be some
There might be
interesting,
some interesting,
something of
yeah,
interest in there.
yeah, yeah.
I can put my hands on that.
It would also be interesting to do a refresh, right, to see
Yes.
how things have changed since when the paper was
Yep.
originally generated.
Absolutely.
Where our
It
trends.
must have gotten entered into a spreadsheet somewhere too.
I would think so, Tim may even have it, because he probably did it, so we could ask.
No,
him.
Tim did, yeah. He did a report of the results to the planning commission, which I have.
Mhm.
But interestingly enough, it never really was like disseminated to the public.
Right. We could get our hands on that.
I don't know what's in it, but it might.
Yeah. Well,
as long as
But I remember we were-
That's
We were quite
to start.
pleased at the number of people who did respond. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of, additional taxes, but I just think about the data that it allows you insight into.
Yeah.
You can tell it's like, oh, it's growing, it's shrinking, this sector is doing really good, this sector is starting to die, where does it need to be propped up at? Is there any way to get to that level of insight with, like, can we contact, or are those matters of public record where you can contact the state and say, hey, by sector, can you tell us what the sales tax were in this zip code? Where even if it's not identifying a unique individual, if we could identify unique individuals, that's great. It gives us more granularity, but just being able to wrap our arms around the pulse of what our data,
Give us that level of detail.
So I think, because I just looked at this a while ago.
I mean, you somehow researched when the select board asked about retail sales local options tax, you were able to get a number, but was it broken
Rooms and
down?
Meals is available, one or the other was available for Chester and the other wasn't. I can poke at that while you guys are
Rooms and
talking.
meals we had to
But-
guess on.
But that's all it gives you is that level. It will say ideally if you have enough businesses that pay into it. I think you need 10 or more.
It was the rooms and meals that we had to guess at.
Yeah.
It was the rooms and meals.
So, yeah.
I talked with them, I was trying to think if it was 10 or 12, but they feel that if there's 10 or less businesses reporting that
It's too easy to pick
it's
up.
too easy to pick up proprietary information. And so they won't give you that result. But if it's more, they'll give you that result.
Right.
So I think for sales, we can definitely get that.
Yeah, and that's it. I can find it right now if
Yeah.
I wanted to. Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's a good pulse of like, oh, it's flat, going down, going up.
Yep.
And our goal would be, from EDC to see it go up, but not by raising the taxes, but by having more volume. translates to jobs.
Is this meant to be open right now and just sort of?
Yeah, I
talking
think we're
about-
just talking about like, what are things we want to be working on? Like what direction do we want to go?
There was a campaign called Meet Chester or something, or
Yes.
This is Chester.
Yeah, meet
Why-
Chester?
Why didn't that work out? What was the problem there?
So, Steve, the community sometimes has had a hard time coalescing around things, and people have different thoughts. And I grew up here, so I can say that. Or I'm gonna say it. So anyway, so the previous incarnation of Chester Economic Development Corporation, which has kind of gone defunct, did that because there was frustration about the lack of marketing for Chester. So they did that, and then the people who were doing it basically burned out.
And it wasn't, that committee was not a subcommittee of the town.
That was a private
It was a
entity.
private group
Oh.
that basically were business owners for the
Correct.
most part, that got together and met at the coffee shop and that was kind of the extent. They did do some things, but yeah, that Meet Chester was kind of the last ditch effort to try to have one, there was a desire to have one central hub. And there was a lot back and forth about, is that the responsibility of the town? Is it not? It was a very different select board then, who felt that business and government did not mix in any way, shape, or form. Like,
That's interesting.
yeah, that was a law, that was like that for years. It was, I don't know, a few years ago that, you got new members on the board, that mindset started changing, you just new leadership all the way around and said, there's a
The
relationship.
master planning.
The master
plan
plan
was
in
a real positive
2018.
project for the community.
Yeah, that was a
Brought
great
lot of
product.
expert people together.
Yeah, that was huge. And I can send that to you guys. It was from 2018. So it is a little bit outdated at this point. Probably at some point in the next couple of years, it would be wise to renew that, refresh that. But I will send that to you guys. So you
Yeah,
can see what that was.
Any documents that represent things that were successful
Sure.
or abysmal, just let
Yeah.
us know which they were.
Yep.
I can use that, even
Yeah.
if it's dated, it's
Yeah,
fine.
absolutely. It gives you a baseline of where we were. And then from that project was one where I had insisted that we actually have like an implementation matrix. I really despise plans that are done where money is spent and then nothing happens with them. It's like a big, huge pet peeve of mine. So when we did that, it was like, no, I want a matrix. I want a spreadsheet that I can check things off of.
I think you're gonna find a
Just
lot
the
of
way my brain
spreadsheet
works.
fans around here.
So just going back to sales data, and this is for the FY 25 compared to FY 24, it increased slightly in Chester. My eyes aren't good enough to see it. But it increased slightly.
So I will send the village center master plan.
So there's the select board and the current sort of ethos is that increasing business is good for
Yes.
the town because
Yes.
more people spend money, more people want to live here.
Yes.
Blah, blah, blah.
And the town and the select board, of the past several years, has an understanding that there is a relationship, between the town and business. And, but there has to be that relationship between the town and business, and we want it to be a positive one. Obviously, there are limitations, right? But they should work together. And to that end, I mean, the other thing that Bob has been on me a few times about is, we have things here that we can market to the world, that we don't, like our internet. We have great, water sewer infrastructure, that we have done really well keeping up on. So Chester, and that was part of the Rediscovering Chester, which was the master plan, was what do we have? What is Chester? What do we have? And instead of trying to, be Woodstock or be Weston or be somebody else, what are we and what do we contribute in the region? And so, yeah, I think that's another task of ours is to say, what do we have? That's amazing to market to the world and say, yeah, you want to be here,
Do you have any timelines about when your inventory of all the businesses will be
I'll
done?
Crack the whip. I'd like to think it could be done before the next meeting of this group.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I mean,
I thought you were
I was
gonna
thinking
say by
like
the
a
end of
year.
the year.
No,
Yeah.
no. It's being done. It's a coincidence it came up tonight.
That's
It's something
amazing.
we've been working on, so
Kismet.
fingers crossed.
The other thing that's currently happening, it's just starting, is the work, well, you know, you're on the planning commission, is the rewrite of the town plan. So the work of this board, can certainly help feed, you know, the rewrite of the town plan when it comes to the economic development section of the town.
And as far as some decisions like right in the heart and the green, like which businesses can go from being commercial to residential, like how are those decisions made?
So that's zoning. You wanna talk about that?
Sure. Ask your question again, please. Just,
As far as, you know, some of the buildings on the green going
Yeah.
from commercial to
Yeah.
residential, how
Yeah.
does that sort of work?
oh, yeah.
Or
no.
vice versa?
Well, I was hired as a zoning administrator 4 years ago. I've kind of transitioned where Hugh Quinn's doing that now, and I'm staying on part-time as town planner. But I do, I've been doing zoning for about 20 years. So that's the hard thing about zoning is you can't make anyone do anything. All you can do is tell them what they can't do.
Hmm.
And because I've had several people say, when the last owner of Free Range sold all the kitchen equipment, they're like, couldn't you stop them? No, I can't stop them. I mean, it's a free country. They can sell their kitchen equipment. So, and I can also say that when I was hired, the select board was very clear they wanted a zoning administrator that was business friendly, and I got that a lot, which is, you have to say no to people, but you try to be friendly about it. All I can say is that you can try to create a climate in your zoning bylaws where it reduces the obstacles to doing certain things. It makes it not as hard to do certain things. That's about the best that you can do.
And as far as like commercial spaces in town, where would someone look for something like that? And because I know a couple of people would like to start
Yeah.
businesses in town.
Yeah.
They don't know where to go. There's no spaces.
Ideally, not the word ideally, we have a commercial sites inventory on our website that we try to frequently check realtor listings for what's available for sale or lease. Again, note the word ideally.
Mhm.
It's more a matter of, I mean, Chester has a realtor that knows what's going on or whatever, just trying to find out what's available when. I think another thing that had been a challenge in the past that I think the community has passed is not having consensus on where they were willing to have development.
Hmm.
Like, what do you want? Where do you want it?
Right, right.
We could certainly do a lot better because, I would have people
But they've come a
contact
long
me
way.
sometimes and
Oh, a
say,
long way.
where is there a, property available? And I'll be like, I just can't answer that question.
Yeah.
And we could do a lot better on that.
Yeah.
We could. Agreed.
Visitors have access to MLS.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Well, it also involves having a little bit of a pulse because there's certain properties in town that are vacant
Mhm.
and the owner just doesn't seem to want to do anything about it.
Right.
You'd be like, come on.
Right.
I mean, well, anyway,
Yeah.
we're not supposed to talk
Yeah,
about
exactly.
this. Yeah.
I think that goes back to getting the inventory,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Right, exactly.
You've got this
Right.
many businesses, this many potential businesses and business-friendly areas. That's good to, and even SRDC, it sounds like you guys are doing amazing work, but this is the first time that I've heard about it. And if you have somebody who's not
Right.
in Chester sitting next to you,
Yep.
and I wanted to open up a business in Chester and I went to the Chester website, like there's
Yeah.
too many coincidences of needs you have to
Yeah.
get to in order to, like, if we could, even part of our mission here is to make things as friction-free as possible for people who want to invest in the community to find the information they need. It would be,
I will say when someone comes to town office, inevitably I end up with it. That connection works.
Yeah.
So we're working with a prospect right now, for example.
Exactly. But to your point, it's if they come to me, right? If they come to us. So we need to, find a way to make it that they can find it more easily.
I know, I had a discussion with one commercial property in town that sold and it's to an out-of-state person and they just said the price was so good, I just couldn't resist buying it. And we're thinking when we retire, we might do something. Well, it sits here empty. It's just, it's very frustrating.
yeah.
I'm going to take a little break just to ask a question that I should have asked under organization of committee. A lot of times people like to have an expectation of how long the meetings will go. If we're going to start at
Yeah.
6, do we want it to be an hour meeting, an hour and a half meeting, a 2-hour meeting? I mean, I as chair can kind of corral and say, okay, we're running out of time here. Let's leave. What are your thoughts? If we're
I'm
meeting once a month.
meeting killer.
Yeah.
So this is weird, having
Yeah.
to do everything in public.
Yeah.
Here, because I like to get everything done and not
Yeah.
have the meeting.
Yeah.
frankly.
Yeah.
So I'm an advocate for, it's gonna be hard because I do think that worthwhile things we'll be doing.
Yeah.
So-
And we can go beyond if everyone agrees. I'm just saying, like, for instance, we started at 6, it's 10 minutes to 7. You know, what is our goal for when we feel a meeting's long enough?
I think once something goes past an hour and a half, your brain
Yeah.
is
Are
done.
you talking about a hard ending or a soft ending?
I'm talking about just guidance to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say personally, being a meeting killer, an hour.
Yeah.
Because I
The housing commission is that way.
try to be very efficient.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, Carl, I really liked your thoughts in your email. And there were some action items from that. I don't know if they're actually actionable, but I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that at all.
Oh, man, thank you.
Are you ready to move on?
So
to-
yes,
Oh,
now that
sorry.
I've asked that question, my attitude is Carl Henshaw presentation is on the agenda and that should start.
I thought we were skipping that somehow.
No.
I
No.
did-
That's on
That's
there.
just what was spit out from,
Yeah, this is, Damon, thanks again. I mean, I had kind of a fever dream that Julie knows this, that occasionally, and Preston has been the recipient of my brain dumps as well in the past, where I'll just have some ideas and I'll start rifle shotting them across the bow, and I'm like, is this crazy or should we consider this? And then Damon, I mean, fantastic job running it through your LLM, which really provided a lot more substance around kind of what those ideas were, especially, you know, the podcast, where when you think about where we are today as a community and how and you just look at the communities that do a really good job of setting a vision and a strategy for themselves, and how over the course of 10 or 20 years, how they look materially different than those that just kind of let life happen to them. What are some table stakes that we should be keeping in mind if we want to be a community that people want to be able to move into and have an ability to move into over the next 10 or 20 years? And that's where, you know, kind of that thought process was of like, how do we tap, you know, to your point, what is the identity of Chester? How do we tap in to what we are? We're not trying to be Springfield. We're not trying to be Boston. We're not trying to be New York. We're going to try to be the best version of ourselves as possible. What do those qualities look like, right? And to me, you have multiple levers to pull, right? You have the youth. How do you get mentorship programs, internship programs, training, housing? How do we, if we make all the businesses in Chester fire on all cylinders, that's going to attract more businesses in here. Like I grew up in a town that, you know, right next door to us, they manifested themselves being the restaurant capital of Texas. And at the time they had 2 restaurants. Now they have like 86. And it's this really wild area. And the reason they have so many people that go there is because when you drive through it, you see a line out the door. That's an easy place to want to open up a restaurant when you already see excess demand trying to go after those same resources. And then you look at Chester, and we've got 64 miles of fast trail, snowmobile trails, like the second largest one, but we don't have connectivity. We've got a railroad that connects to these tens of millions of people, but we don't have a stop. Like, there's all these little things that if we just tweaked and exercised some intentionality behind, I think that it would help everyone, I think it would help Chester flourish. And that's kind of where the Principles Project came from. It's like, how do we connect all these? And a lot of it, the first step is wrapping our arms around the data, and then figuring out, what's the next step after that is, what are some experiments we can run? And then to the point, like, let's make it transparent. Let's share that information. Let's find the businesses that want to be part of this journey with this, that are okay being vulnerable. I mean, because a lot of it is going to come down to you saying like, I suck at this,
Mhm.
you know,
Exactly.
and you have to be willing to acknowledge your deficits in order to address them. And not everyone was going to want to hop on board. And I think it's going to be like a game of Jenga. You know, let's push the blocks that are willing to move now, and eventually the other ones will come along. That podcast, I think, did a much better job of explaining it than I am.
I was amazed. Did anyone? Did
I got
anyone
to hear
listen
part of it. I didn't get to
Listen to
hear
it.
the whole thing, but I listened to several minutes of it,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was like, wow, that
Yeah.
was crazy.
And
how
even
it-
how
Like
long
it
did that-
dovetailed like the next sequences, and like, you know, your experience and where you're at. I mean, you're one of the linchpins of the podcast, it sounds like, in terms of like, oh, this is how the next steps go. So I don't know if this is one thing that maybe we, you know, if we have a chance to do homework and, you know, just have a chance to listen to the podcast and then think about how do we incorporate that into an agenda item for like next steps, and maybe even dividing ourselves into subcommittees to run with. But I definitely want to be involved with subcommittees that do outreach, that do analysis. Like that's kind of my wheelhouse. Marketing, SEO, like there's so many things we can do inventory for businesses on, just to get a baseline of like, you're here with like a little bit of effort, you could be here and you could be normalized. And then the hospitality, right? Like we have so many inns. We have the Fullerton, and you know, they're pivotal. You know, if the Fullerton's successful, everything else on the green goes up. So how do we make sure that all of those tourist you know, beds and breakfasts are operating at capacity, or at least nearer to it than what they are right now, which is, yeah.
I wonder if an agenda item for next meeting is to think about subcommittees. Like to think about, because there's a lot of ideas have gotten thrown out here and they're all kind of in separate directions. Not completely separate directions, but you know what I mean. So I wonder if we want to think about, a lot of committees don't have subcommittees, but that doesn't matter. We can do whatever we want. So do we want to establish some subcommittees and then have some talk around what those subcommittees are focused on?
I would love to have subcommittees. I would love for us to have, you know, maybe even as much of like, let's clearly define I know we have our charter, but like, what is our vision for Chester? You know, and then start building
Yes.
a strategy that coalesces around supporting that vision, and then running projects underneath that support the strategy, and then having, you know, kind of SMART goals around those. Like, let's see, you know, you've already time bounded yourself by saying we're going to have an inventory next meeting, and that's incredible.
Maybe,
But I mean, that's impressive to be able to come out of the gates and have something like that, you know.
Are the subcommittees gonna have to go through the same hoops that committees do in terms of posting?
No, not as long as they're not a majority of the board. Subcommittees, and with a board of 7, you can have 3 people on a subcommittee and be able to avoid that.
So I
That's
got
helpful.
4 things. Maybe I missed something. Well, 5. We have what businesses are here. We're gonna have a preliminary list. We have a survey of businesses. And, you know, what questions should we ask? What do they feel we can do and not do, or what, you know, what's needed? We have a gap analysis. Then we have how to invest in Chester, some way to streamline people to the right opportunities, and then overall vision for Chester. And I really do like what your plan had as far as kind of bringing an agile process to government where we can fail fast, try things, be very public about it. I think that will, and I love the targeting kind of younger, you know, creating opportunity, creating mentorship, that sort of thing. It's pretty cool. I don't know how we get to that part yet, but
even like integration with like the high school, right? Like, what are they, you know, where are the kids, you know, what are they doing once they graduate? Where are they moving? Are they going to school? Are they going to trade school? What are they, you know, how do they feel?
Yeah,
You know?
collaborating with the tech center too,
Mhm.
not just the high school, the tech center in Springfield.
What opportunities do they think are in front of them, and what do they know about? Like, to me, that's critical. Like, we can't just be a community that gets older and older and older. We have to bring I mean, I want us to be talking in 20 years about where the next school is going to be built, not if it's going to be shut down and, consolidated
Yeah.
with somebody else.
Yep. Yeah, great.
So I think you're gonna send them the.
I will send them the master plan,
So-
which has a lot in it that you're talking about.
So really, perhaps there's an opportunity to have a discussion about focus on the village center. And, I mean, I'm always partial to the green. And how does the green be a focal point? And are there things whoever can do to help move some of these things along in the green specifically, but also the village center to make that a vibrant center of the community?
But there are other geographic areas that are currently commercial.
Agree. I just was using it as a starting point for a discussion of something that exists.
Will we get into eventually specific buildings and why they're kind of not active?
I mean, I definitely think that we can. What part of what I was trying to think about is like, we gotta be careful we're not going in too many directions, like after meeting one, right? Like, so trying to think about, what is our, and I'm thrilled that everybody's so excited about this. You have no idea. So like thinking about what are the couple of things we're gonna target to get ourselves a baseline and to get grounded. I think those conversations come a little bit later. I think the gap analysis comes a little bit later. You know.
I'm
I think
actually planning, just
Go
so
ahead.
everyone's aware of it, there's some of these things that I think might be easier, and I think I'll surprise you with how fast we can do them, leveraging the tools that we have now. So I think actually, I'm planning to tackle gap analysis pretty quickly.
Okay.
Going back to how are we going to measure our success? I mean, if we look at sales, taxes, that's a measure. Like if we start to see that go up, if we look at the grant list, if we see the number of properties that people are coming in here and actually building something on, something that didn't exist, those are key performance indicators that we're doing our job or moving our needle. And so, but it's not going to happen overnight, right?
Right.
Like, so it's going to be something that, it's a lag measure, and we're going to try to figure out where do we apply our effort and how to impact this over here? But to me, those are going to be our North Stars. If we see those moving in the right direction, we know we're doing something.
And I think having a survey where if we just get the basic, the one question everyone asks for a company is, if you had a friend, would you tell them to come work with us, right? So if you're a business in Chester, would you tell your friend to build a business in Chester, right? And so just having an understanding of if businesses are important to Chester and its continued success, then how are we as Chester supporting them, and how do they feel about that? Not the only thing, but one of the things. And right now, I think we don't know. And so I'd like us to get a baseline.
That's the information that, I'm really focused on the baseline. I want to know where we are.
Knots, right? It's like,
Right.
it's too expensive, or I can't find anything that would work for me. Those are two different problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
Right.
Right.
And pulling those out. And then once we know what those are, and we can make some assumptions about what those are, but then we can start trying to help to solve those problems.
I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
This is like my head going, what does that even mean? Okay, I'm excited. This is great.
Your presentation's done, huh?
That was,
Yeah.
do you have a chance to listen to the
Yeah.
podcast?
Yes.
The podcast.
I will listen to it.
I
I'll
haven't,
listen to
and
several
and
minutes
we'll
today,
definitely
yeah.
have to do that.
As well as the collateral that you put together.
Well, I'll just give you the TLDR. Too long didn't, okay.
Yeah.
Chester's not a destination. It's a pass-through. We have a lot of, we have some large attractions very close. And so how can we make it more of a destination? How can we get people to stop? How do we grow the right things or create the right visibility, create the right patterns? And it could be as simple as, dare I say this, people not feeling like they're gonna get pulled over and get ticketed if they go through Chester.
Mhm.
Versus, like literally have had people say that we go around Chester because, so just making the green attractive is
Yeah.
beautiful during Christmas and
Yeah.
just really emphasizing those things.
Yeah.
And then growing out from there.
Mhm.
So more things that draw people.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And when they come to them, they need to be going up to them.
Absolutely. So they don't get ticketed.
Will there be, or is it possible for there to be a marketing budget for the town?
Yes.
Even a small one?
Yes, so we have we have the Chester Development Funds. It's a little over $400,000. It's a revolving loan fund that we use when there's local businesses that need a little bit of help with capital or whatever. So we have access to those funds. The select board will be working on a rewrite of the bylaws and governing around how the economic development funds can be used so that you guys can have access to some of those funds to be able to do things that we need to do. So there's definitely discussion coming at the select board level about what that looks like, but we wanted to have a few meetings under our belt to say, how would we use the funds? What would we need? And just kind of reserve a pocket. So there is access to some funds, yes. Yeah, that could support. Eventually may end up in the budget, but if we've got economic development funds, they're not raised by the tax base. They're raised by other means and they're invested. It would be great to have this supported that way.
Some of the research indicated that there are other funds that are available, between Vermont and federal funds that we could potentially tap into.
Hard to get for marketing. There's a longer version of this, but it's become one thing that's unique about Chester's revolving loan fund is that the source of money allows the town to invest it more aggressively
Right.
and creatively than the funds that every other town has for their revolving
Yep.
loan fund.
Yep.
So you've made bank on
We made
interest
a lot of money on it.
over the years.
Yeah.
A. B, on the Meet Chester, Vermont thing, right, wrong, or different, you gotta have something, you gotta have collateral material, and you gotta have your call to action, which at that time was going to this simple website.
Yeah,
So
we're trying to find one source, one place that people
So,
could go to for
yeah, so
information.
those are things to think about,
And
and
why was
for a
that-
professional marketing person.
Why was that not a good idea to have everyone go to a centralized?
It wasn't that it wasn't a good
Okay.
idea, it's just that everybody wanted to be that central location.
Correct. And you also have a chamber in the region too.
And,
It's in all this discussion.
In a town that said, we shouldn't be that because we don't have anything to do with business. So there was like this whole
Yeah.
thing going on way back then.
Okay, so that,
It doesn't
It's a
really
fresh
exist
look,
anymore,
right?
correct.
And,
Okay.
and I appreciate you. Hopefully I can help with the alphabet soup of stuff and help
Yeah.
direct what is real and what's not, and what's relevant and what makes sense for specific.
And you can find grants that deal with economic development stuff that towns are
Yeah,
working
That's
on
what
and
I'm interested in
initiatives,
as
and
well.
we just gotta get some,
Piggybacking on some of the other local towns, like what are they doing well? I mean,
exactly.
And how do we coordinate with them? Like,
Right.
we're not an island. If we can have integration with our neighboring communities and we all become a.
Yeah.
Okay.
And getting people to understand, I mean, so many times I hear, why can't we have a playhouse? Well, why do we need one? Weston's got a fabulous one. Why does Chester need to have that? Let's send people to Weston and then maybe Weston will send people to here for something we've got going on.
Maybe that
right?
Italian food place.
Maybe the Italian food.
There you go.
Bill's gonna agree.
That's all Phil wants
Bill's gonna open the
at.
Italian restaurant.
I make a mean red sauce, I mean.
There you go, just saying. Disc golf, yeah, the disc golf is very popular. Yeah, Chester has a beautiful
Good.
beautiful disc golf course and recreation facility.
I ran
For a
into
town our
kids
size,
who
that is amazing.
travel long distances to
Yes.
play disc
Yeah.
golf.
Yes, we're on the
Yes.
national registry or tour or whatever. They have tournaments up there and people from all over the country. It's interesting.
In the master plan, do we
Yeah.
have some sort of SWOT, like strength, weakness, opportunity?
There is some of that stuff in there,
Sweet.
yeah.
Okay,
Yep,
cool.
yep, there is. There is. I will send that to you guys. I should have thought to send that.
Cause there's a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
like, I don't know about the disc golf.
Yeah.
I know about the volleyball, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot about,
Yeah.
a
When you
lot
think
of
about
things.
that, the full 4-season calendar, right?
Right.
And where that plugs
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
You've got,
Yeah.
Chester is so much more than what you know. I mean, I've been here for 3 years and I'm still learning about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and we don't market any of it, we don't tap into any of it, we don't, it's really, I mean, the institution of the town is always just kind of been, you know, what we do, we run a police department, we run a highway department, like, they've never really ventured into this other level of dare we market our town. So, they're wanting to.
Even with, geo-targeting, it'll hit people when they're in and around town. They're in Ludlow and they're like, they see Devalia and they see some nice photos. They're like, oh, I should stop there on my way out.
Right.
There's so much potential and that's not very expensive at all.
It's pretty affordable.
Right.
When you
Super
think about
cheap,
the
especially up
impression
here.
of it.
Super cheap.
A lot of opportunity.
A lot of opportunity and I'm
Chris,
very
when we get
excited.
Amtrak.
I have a love for trains, and so
I do too. It's
when
amazing
I
institution.
first got hired here, I thought, gosh, I could look out the window and watch the trains go by. Everything in the rail world is just glacially slow, but on the other hand, what I keep saying is, if you don't start, you're never going to get there. And it would be a lot to get an Amtrak train to come up through Chester. I mean, it's just the track is not maintained to a high enough standard. It doesn't have all the crossing equipment and everything like that. I mean, it's not something you could just say, gee, if we had the money, we could just do it.
Right.
But you've got to start somewhere.
But can we do I don't know, a grant? And could we work with a few other of the stuff?
The other
along
thing
way
is
to
that
kinda-
what's happened, well, there's a couple of things. I mean, one is that the chamber is, Carol Lighthall is one that had the courage to get the holiday train, the Christmas train. And it's a great moneymaker, but, she had to fork over like $20,000 for the railroad for 2 days to charter that train. And so, I mean, it's a big, but it is very, very popular and we could do more of that kind of thing where we are lucky that we have a railroad that is willing to do that. Some railroads just don't bother me.
Foliage trains used to be very popular
Yeah.
here,
I can see that.
very
And
popular here.
So
COVID that they died.
if you're chartering a train through an existing railroad, you suddenly don't have to meet all these incredible rules that you do if you have an Amtrak train come through. But so there's ways we can get there and use the rail to be more of a. There are more things we could do with
Yeah,
the rail.
absolutely.
Yeah,
In
that's all I can
terms of funding, in normal times with a different administration, you could take advantage of the fact that you have, one of the beauties of Vermont is you have access to government.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you have two senators, one of whom is senior,
Mhm.
that could be helpful. However, everything federal right now is a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
I know. So.
The other thing I can just say is that I happen to live in Woodstock, have for many years, and was on the select board there for quite a while. I don't want to say that Chester should be like Woodstock, but I will say that Woodstock has quite an impressive budget for marketing. And
Yes.
they put a calendar out, and in fact, it's gotten to the point where a lot of local residents are saying the town's becoming unlivable because the traffic is stopped all the time for all these people that are
People
coming.
to complain about that.
I know it.
They do.
But if you think of Chester's festival happening 6 or 8 or 10 times a year, you'd be like, whoa. But people will come, but you got to get it in the New York Times
Yeah.
and Yankee Magazine and Condé Nast and all that kind of stuff.
And it's worth thinking about what happened to Woodstock
Yeah.
over many years, over the
Right.
time you've been there.
Right.
And the hollowing out of
Yeah,
small
and-
businesses and there's no parking and, yeah.
Woodstock Chester has some parking options that Woodstock is really struggling with.
Mhm.
But, yeah, there's a little bit of a problem with being too successful, but I don't think we have to worry about that yet, but I'm just saying there is.
Does Woodstock just have that one main road?
Yes.
Because I feel like we have two,
Yes.
at least, like you can go around and.
Well, one of the weird
Chester.
things about Chester is that people that go from Bellows Falls to Rutland don't even know we have a green.
Right.
then go buy it.
Well, and that includes the ski traffic.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Yeah, that's been a discussion for years that how
Yeah.
to get people to the green.
So,
And I will say one more thing that's gonna be going on this year.
yeah,
Just because I think that it's something that the Economic Development Committee might want to watch and pay attention to is, thinking about the municipal budget and some of the stuff that the select board is working on. One of the big projects that we'll be working on this summer, is we're doing a deep dive and review of the services that Chester offers. Just evaluating those services, understanding what we offer, getting the taxpayer to understand what we offer for services. And then having a conversation, not necessarily money focused for the budget, but an understanding of, are these services that you still want? And okay, if there are services we want, then this is the cost for those services, right? But we've never done a real evaluation of what we offer. Here's what the highway department does. Here's the services they provide. Here's what recreation does. And there's an element of that discussion that Economic Development Committee really probably should be a part of. And, or at least have an ear on, because there will be things that you guys will learn about what the town does offer and provide that could certainly feed this conversation. But we also have individuals in town who do come in and say, you know, cut the rec department, we don't need recreation here. And because that's their perspective, but that would have a big impact, right, to the growth of the community. So there are people that, you know, often don't understand those, you know, so I think it will also help us target conversations and how they work in education and that things all work together. So that'll be kind of happening throughout the summer. So I'll keep everybody posted on that. Okay.
And there's this big 250 year.
Then there's the
celebration or
250,
something,
yeah,
Something like that.
yeah.
My birthday.
Vermont,
There
a
is
year or two after that.
so we've done pretty well, an hour and 15 minutes here, and I feel like we're wrapping up. I believe that the,
Thank you.
have you got, your out cards, okay.
No, I am.
Are we moving on to the next agenda item?
Which is next meeting
Next
with them.
agenda. What do we want on the next
Thank you.
agenda? Like, what do we, so we're gonna talk about the bylaw review. Do we also want to talk at that meeting about establishing a vision statement? I feel like that should be one of the first things that we do, it sounds like. So maybe bylaw review, vision statement. What else do we want?
Business list, be optimistic.
Business list.
Yeah, I had,
Review the business, yeah.
That's right.
I had down that we wanted, of course, to look at the governing bylaw. You probably have that. We wanted to talk about subcommittees or focus areas or whatever.
Would you want that to be on the next one?
I think so.
And this next meeting is a month away, right?
Correct.
We're talking about
So-
February 25.
So I would plan to have, I'm gonna try and do it, swing at the, gap. So if you could share as soon as you have it before the meeting, if you have it. No pressure.
Conceptually.
Yeah.
It'll be close to the meeting.
And then I'm going to try to have some preliminary surveys. I'll probably reach out to one or two members to try to fill in the gap there.
But that's okay, right? If we,
Yes, just make sure that it's no more than 3 people.
okay.
Make sure it's no more than 3 people. That's the critical piece
From the committee.
from the committee.
So if
Yeah, if you've got
Dan
friends
wants
that
to-
want to help you,
if
that's
Dan
totally.
wanted to speak to 4, have coffee with 4 business people.
Well, that's
Absolutely.
fine. It's only
No,
Yeah.
it's just- no,
Yeah,
can't be more
and I'm
than-
already doing that. So
Yeah.
I'm already,
Oh,
before I
you-
came here tonight.
You
I
guys are
met
all
with
free to
someone
do that. Just if you're gonna get together with other members, yeah.
Yeah.
No more than 3 people.
Okay.
And just because we set a list here doesn't mean it's the only thing that can be on the agenda. So, you know, somebody may say, hey, I was able to get the gap analysis done. You can put that on the agenda, right? It doesn't have to be set here.
Yeah, so I'd
Just
like
gives me a
to
target.
try to have something to discuss around a survey and, you know, preliminary survey.
Okay, So-
Structure.
I'll try.
potentially, go ahead. Tom.
Sorry, I'll try and, I'm making notes for myself on random data things to send, just because, so I can send some workforce stuff. I'll try and parse out the sales tax stuff over the last few years.
Yeah, I'm gonna take everything that you send
Mhm.
and I'm gonna be processing it through multiple AIs and comparing it to other regions and.
So I have business list, vision statement, bylaw, language, subcommittee, gap, and survey.
Sounds like a business.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll,
It's a good start.
we won't run out of things, we won't run, yeah, we won't
That's
run
a
out of
great
things to
start.
talk about, but, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
and then motion to
Would it be
adjourn.
possible to get?
Yes.
20
Do we have a motion to adjourn? Okay. Great.
That was Pursue, that was Damon made the motion and then Phil seconded.
Yeah.
There you go.
Fantastic.
Then I have another
Yeah, my wife.
efficient committee.
Oh, yeah?
I was gonna
That was
say,
one of our projects. We-
as staff, we love efficient
We love
committees.
it.
This is perfect.
We helped.
Housing
plan
commission is
business
my
plan
favorite.
for Rockstar.
Bang, bang, bang.
Yes.